Despite a deep recession, home prices in Singapore continued to rise in 2020. The fourth quarter saw private home prices grow at their steepest in over 2 years at 2.1%. For the whole of 2020, prices rose 2.2%, just slightly below the increase in 2019. In the public housing space, prices of resale flats posted their highest quarterly increase in nearly a decade. And for the whole of 2020, the HDB Resale Price Index rose 4.8%. Analysts attribute the housing sector's resilience to the rollout of government measures that helped secure jobs and build market confidence.
In the past 3 recessions, the property price index has actually dipped anything from 11% to 36%. But in 2020, the government was very fast in rolling out a series of supplementary budgets and different measures. As a result, there was an absence of major foreclosures of real estates.
Transaction volume for private housing in 2020 likely hit between 9,800 and 10,000 units based on early estimates. But volumes could slightly dip this year.
For the first half of this year, we are looking at maybe around 20 new launches. And this is much lower than what we have seen even for the past half years of previous years.
Still, the positive sentiment could continue as the economy continues reopening and COVID-19 vaccinations are rolled out.
Most of the buyers who are entering the market are those who are coming with a mid and a long-term view. These are the people who already have the funds and are taking advantage of the outlook of the market. And generally, it is in a buyer's market to a large extent, simply because the developers are pricing the property sensitively. And that's why we think the market will still do fairly well in 2021.
Market watchers say HDB resale prices could rise by 2 to 5% in 2021.
People who are still doing well, they will likely continue to upgrade to private housing, so they may put their HDB resale flats for sale. And on the other spectrum, we'll see people who are affected, perhaps they may downgrade from their private houses or private homes to HDB resale flats.
More public housing flats could also likely change hands as many homeowners reach their minimum occupancy period.
These flats are fairly new, they are of newer design, they have longer leases, and so they are able to command higher prices than older flats in the same neighborhood. And as a result, their transactions help to push up the overall prices in the whole market.
With fewer project launches and possible decline in housing supply, some say the market could tilt in favour of sellers eventually. As borders reopen, the inflow of foreign capital into Singapore properties could also be a catalyst.
Because of the higher demand of all this high net worth, we may see en bloc coming back again, because then it makes sense to sell homes at a much higher prices, especially in the prime areas.
Dr. Lee warns that the wider economic landscape remains uncertain, and this will affect the housing market as well.
With the economy contracting or not growing at all in 2021, then the next question is, should the government let the housing market to continue to grow? They may actually start to rein in the market to make sure that at least things are stable and avoid speculation bubbles from forming.
But others see it differently.
It is just a market that is still expanding, but at a fairly moderate pace. It is not going into a tailspin, but at the same time, it is also not overheated.
Long buffer or a long runway.
Experts say buyers need to remain pragmatic and assess their risk appetite before going into the housing market.
I would generally encourage any buyers to take a mid and a long-term view and also to evaluate his own marketability or his job security perspective. As long as these are considered and you enter the market buying property at the right price, you will not go wrong.
For people who are looking to invest for wealth preservation purposes, I think Singapore is still a good place. If we look at just for pure investment play, for short-term investment play, I think it's still a bit unappealing in this sense because of the ABSD and the seller stamp duty. It will take at least quite a number of years, from probably for 5 to 6 years, before you see certain kind of profits coming in.